Hello, and thank you for joining us this afternoon, Peace and Purpose family. I am Ivy Simmons, and I am here with the hip-hop medicine man, SupaNova Slom. Thankful that you're here to join us this fine day.
Thank you so much, sis. Thank you and for having me and rolling out, and happy to charge the family. Wellness salute to everybody.
I love that wellness salute. That is indeed.
But we got to salute each other into our optimum wellness. You know, that's where we're here to thrive on this planet, to be our optimum selves, and to salute ourselves and to the position of health and wellness. That's how we can do everything we need to do. So I salute you and the help your health. Yes. Ashe.
Yes, man. Yes, sir. So you are joining us this fine day as the hip hop medicine man, and you have a storied legacy. You have generational wellness and health and a certain particular outset that you were born into. And that is a lineage that we honor, and would love to hear a bit about your journey. You, as we talked before we got started today, you encapsulate a lot of different things, right? Which is beautiful. You really are what we call one of those multi-potentialites. And you blend everything kind of effortlessly and meld into all these different worlds. How did you get to a space of, you were raised in health and wellness, but how did you get to a space of owning your own journey? You came from military, and you're an artist, and you create products for wellness, and you speak and you help men grow. How did you come to kind of take us through the journey of how you got to where you are to understand where you can help us go?
Okay, well, I know this is a long journey. I'm going to try to get to the blocks that you're mainly focusing on. My mother, Queen Afua, produced a book in different versions between 1989 and 1993 called "Heal Thyself for Health and Longevity." It was one of her first offerings as an author in holistic health. Her work at the time was very considered a classic amongst the holistic wellness literature. And so around that time, between 93 and 94, being already raised in a holistic wellness environment, like most young teens, you kind of sprout outside of the nest and try to figure out your cadence in the world. Being raised in Brooklyn, Crown Heights, Bed-Stuy, that area, was very profoundly challenging in the 90s. But in sort of the law of the street life, like myself is not, it's the cadence is, you get into that growth and development and that learning lesson, and you lose sight of, your original formation. So I got caught up in the gravity of the streets for a moment. And pretty much, me going through some serious rites of passage in the streets and being away from my family, allowed me to reflect on everything my mother raised me on as far as the tenets of holistic health and wellness. And, to her book, Heal Thyself, I had to heal myself. I was away from my mother. I had to go down south and continue my education, finishing high school in the South, because I just was wilding out in New York at the time. So it pretty much saved my life, just being away from the city. Right. And, because my family at the time was not holistically inclined, they weren't plant-based, they weren't into the spirituality, they just was, your standard brothers and sisters just doing what they got to do. I had to employ a lot of my mother's tenets and a lot of the elder tenets on my
to fortify yourself.
Right. And so, healing myself, even though I was born and raised vegan from her womb, and plant-based most of my life, eating too much of the processed white sugars, the sweets. I didn't have the meat problem. I wasn't away, and pretty much stayed away from the dairy and the any derivative of animal products, but the junk food, having a lot of that, and eating the junk food, having, mood swings because of the processed white sugar, breaking out, it was just really whack. And so I remembered what my mother was giving me upon my growth and development. She really infused me with chlorophyll properties and its many micronutrients such as chlorella, spirulina, wheatgrass, dandelion, alfalfa, the many different micronutrients that come in the chlorophyll family. And I remember when she would give me my green juices when I was little, how it would just give me a boost of energy, and it made me just feel vibrant and alert. So I pretty much started to do that myself. I just remembered, what she would do for me. And I just took myself to my own personal detox around, between ages of 15 and 16 to own it, because I didn't want to have skin compromise and mood swings. And so I started to pretty much develop my own system of detoxing, my own system around the plants, and really get deeper into the science of the chlorophyll. The planet is mostly water. And outside of that, our body is mostly water, and also abundantly in the planet, whether it be in the sea and on the land, is chlorophyll. That's the majority of the element on the planet. Now, there are many other herbs and different wonderful medicinal properties that we can be using, but the abundance of the planet is chlorophyll and water. And so I started to understand for my own self, the more water I had and the more greens I had in my body, the much more oxygen I, had flowing through my body, and my skin would be vibrant, my mood swing would be great, and my addiction to the processed white sugar and the junk food just dissipated. So I considered myself at that time in the early 90s, what I called a chlorophyllian. At that point, because I didn't feel like I was more akin to what the vegetarians were doing, because most vegans were just startitarians masquerading as vegetarians, because most, you say you're a vegetarian, then most of your diet should be vegetables, right? Hence the word. And so a lot of us, but not passing judgment, a lot of us, in transition from processed foods, we kind of got caught up in the starches, the carbs, and the transition food. The familiar, the comfortability.
I started
right. We got caught in that.
Going to vegetarian and veganism, and so
right. So at that time in the 90s, I said, okay, well, to honor my process, I'm more into the chlorophyll foods, because that's kind of pretty much how I really was able to come to owning the tenets that my mom was teaching me for myself. It's one thing to have your mother, pouring into you, but when you pour into yourself, that was my aha moment. So real fast forward, I got that. I graduated from high school down south, came back home. I'd say, Mom, I'm a chlorophyllian. She says, what? A chlorophyllian? I told her, I said, because my diet is between 70% to 100% mainly chlorophyll foods. Like that's where I get my amino acids from. That's where I'm getting my proteins from, my phytonutrients. Like I really got into the science of the greens.
I love that you could articulate it. I mean, of course, you're a clinicalist child. You can articulate it, but the way you express it to your mom in a way she doesn't.
Well, yeah, because I wanted her to see that, like, yo, everything, all the green juices that I was trying to leave on the table, and you ran. My mom would me and my brother and sister sometimes leave our green juice. We was at junior high school. She'll come after the school bus, run down a block, knock on the school bus and says, who left their green juice? And she'll sit there and we had to drink her green juice for all of our friends. So that's how she's all fluffy and nice to everybody see her now, but she was a wellness warrior.
She's like
warrior. And in the 80s, being in the food desert, being in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, that was really a super minority being, into plant-based living at that time. And so, but her take on it was, my kids are not going to be food with toxic foods. I want my children to have the most qualitative life, and I want their bodies to be exposed to all of these disparities a lot of our people, unfortunately, interact with. So she was really militant with health and wellness at the time. And I think a lot of that, the fire and the charge of wanting to be well and our people to be, beacons of health and wellness, I got from her, and I call myself a wellness warrior because of that. But fast forward to the story, I came back. I was like this evangelist of wellness. And my thing was, my mother always taught me to be inclusive with holistic health because our people are sick across the board. So I've never been dogmatic with my approach. I want to make that clear. I respect everybody's different path, and I try to teach a lot of the millennials and Generation Z online because I see a lot of them form these like vegan cults and these. My nutritionist told me this type of thing, and that's really a wrong approach for holistic health, because all of us just need to follow a path of holistic wellness, however that is to you. I think it's so much information that if you're disciplined and you're excited, you can modify something specifically for yourself and be the living example, rather than trying to curse someone because they didn't take the grapefruits and you take lemons, or they take limes and you take something that's more alkaline, berries, or you didn't have the alkaline berries from the rainforest and they took something just from the regular store.
It wasn't biodynamic, and it wasn't.
I mean, listen, find your path and be a master or mastress on your path. So that was always I wanted to share my story as a chlorophyllian in the 90s, aligned with my mother. My mother would do these things called the 21-day fast and shut-ins. And I just come and just give my testimony to inspire other young people, that it's possible that you could really, you be a young person and be excited about health and wellness and, be able to transform, from the generational curses a lot of people have, that our elders, dealing with that at the time, diabetes, hypertension and obesity, many different elements. And so I really wanted to, create a pathway for my generation on holistic health, and let's be excited about it. One of the first, outside of my mother, one of the first things I did was create something called the HipHop Meditation Cypher. And, as a hip hop artist at the time, I was performing a lot, and I would being around, a name around the local scene in New York and a lot of the different venues. And I saw a lot of the homies that I would perform with, they just were dynamic performers, but they always had low energy. They as profound as their art was, I didn't feel that, the sedentary lifestyle they was living will be able to be transferable to the art. So it's almost like if you're not doing stuff behind the scenes to strengthen you as a holder of art, right? When you are, it's your time to shine and you in demand. If you're not exercising, training your body, your respiratory system is not on point. If you're not doing your meditation to kind of
internal work,
balance the anxiety, there's so many elements I feel that holistic health can incorporate, not just the food, because holistic health is really the balance and the harmony of your mind, body, and spirit, right? Everything's working in tandem for you to be productive. So I created the HipHop Meditation Cypher around 96, and I wanted to, show a lot of the artists that I was performing with locally, hey man, let's do these meditational breathing practices to channel the anxiety so you don't have to maybe go to weed or alcohol. And I wasn't necessarily against them for doing it. I was just saying that there are alternatives that you could begin to incorporate so you can be a dynamic artist in just in the vastness of its expression. Along that offering, I met Erykah Badu a year before she came out with Baduism. She was signed to Motown. I didn't know it. I met her at an open mic. I was one of the featured artists at the time performing, and she happened to be in the audience. And immediately after the performance, she, me and her bonded immediately because she appreciated the art. But then we started kicking it and building. And she told, I was telling her who my family were, and I'm a vegan and this and that. And she said, oh my gosh, heal thyself. I have the book. And we just bonded immediately. Looking at me, my moms, they bonded. And literally Erykah was staying with us every day until Baduism dropped that following year. Because that came in 97. So we're talking about 96. And we didn't even know she was signed to Universal. We had no idea. And she took me to the studio. I knew she was an artist. I knew she was doing profound art. I didn't know the level she was about to blow. Anyway, she came out, changed the world, right? And then she took me on the road with her for those first two albums, the Baduism and the live album, as her personal medicine man. She's like, no, you gotta go with me, travel with me, because I need these juices. I need you to find these foods for me. I need, so my first deployment, I would say, as a medicine man, in the world, was because of my sister gave me the opportunity to travel with her. And I met all types of profound artists. And, hey, no, but what are you drinking? I'm drinking these greens. What are the greens for? It's one of those things I never really, like I said, I'm not dogmatic. I just kind of share with people where I'm at.
And they see and feel the results, right? Because they can see you, how you look.
Right. And I just would share, and hey, this is what we're doing. And, and also No Excuse Wellness is a creed that I live by, that I caveat really to the future right now or present. I run a holistic wellness men's rites of passage group. And the affirmation we have is, the creed is No Excuse Wellness. And that was also cultivated when I traveled with Erykah, because we would be all over the world, Paris, France, Milan, Europe. And I had to find Whole Foods that wasn't, when there wasn't a Whole Foods. I had to make sure that Erykah had, her non-genetically modified organic fruits and vegetables, and make sure we had farmers markets. So I was taught by my mother, Queen of Food, to, if you're truly plant-based, right? Not processed food plant-based, but truly plant-based, you can thrive anywhere in the world, because anywhere in the world has whole grains. They have, they have beans, they have, they have seeds, they have, all types of vegetables. So every part of the world has an abundance of their own fruits and vegetables and grains. So, I was always dynamically researched to know how to survive anywhere. So right. I'm blessed to provide that to Erykah, Andre 3000, Outkast. He joined us from time to time because they conceived 7 when they were traveling together on the road. And I would make sure that, that they both were really having all of their wellness principles and their wellness daily salutes. And 7 came out totally awesome, you know what I'm saying? And no, not inoculated. He was an organic baby. And again, that opportunity, birthed me working with many other early at the time, Common, Dead Prez, Busta Rhymes, just different folks sharing my holistic wellness. And it was actually Busta Rhymes. I'm not sure he even remembers, but it was actually, I was on the road. Erykah was doing a Smoke and Groove tour, and we were in between dates, and I think around the time Busta was working on The album with Hands Where My Eyes Can See, that album, right?
That's really what my brain went to, was that video.
Yeah, that album, right? And then I think he worked on that album, and Erica was on that album. We were in the studio, and we would see him in the studio with her, but then we had a few dates with him. But I would always give him and Spliff Star the greens. He said, "Man, you come with these greens again." I'm like, "Here you go, here you go." And he would take me and laugh at me. He said, "Man, you hip hop's medicine man," and it stuck. Because I said it, but I didn't really say the way he said it, you know, in a busted voice. "Man, you hip hop medicine man." I am, you know. So it stuck. One thing led to the other. By the time we get to 2003, I was blessed to put out a film documentary produced by my mother, executive produced by my mother, called Holistic Wellness for the Hip Hop Generation. And it featured Erykah Badu, Common, Dead Prez, and a few other hip hop notables at the time, just sharing their vision for holistic health. What did they do daily, spiritually, mentally, and plant-based, just to inform their audience that, you know, integrating natural lifestyle can allow the hip hop generation to, you know, to transform health disparities. And that was my emergency call, because I knew that if we didn't begin to shift, you know, from my days of doing the HipHop Meditation Cypher in the 90s, if we didn't begin to shift our paradigm, you know, we're going to be losing more health, you know, whole hip hop artists to health disparities. And unfortunately, since 2004, to now, we have lost so many more. Because at the time, it was Poetic from Gravediggers, who was Wu-Tang affiliate. You know, he was from RZA's group, Gravediggers. He died of colon cancer. We, you know, at that by 2003. And then we lost Big Pun to obesity, right? And then, you know, at the time, you know, Pharoah Monch had chronic asthma. So did DMX at the time, and Missy Elliott was dealing with her health issues. So you know, we were seeing that our powerful voices out here. I mean, like I said,
emerging artists,
like, you know, what's happening that you know, we're not supporting them, they're not being supported with, you know, being our artists, being, you know, behind the scenes, having, you know, reinforcement, you know, to move them in a direction for longevity. So that was always my passion. Besides being an artist and an orator, I just wanted to facilitate the conversation around, you know, how can we just begin to shift the paradigm so the generation can now be more longevitive, especially in the arts, you know. And as I said, I'm trying to talk fast. I have a very long, dense story, life, you know, and I've been doing this for a freaking long time. So I'm trying to just give you tidbits. Okay, so so we did that 2004, 2005. We did the DVD. It did really well. I did a soundtrack inspired by that called Holistic Wellness for Hip Hop Generation, with songs called Drugs Masquerading as Foods, about how the corporations pretty much levy the manipulation of marketing for processed food so we can be addicted to it so they can make money. Songs called Holistic Wellness for the Hip Hop Generation, talking about, you know, it pretty much, if we don't change our ways, you know, we won't be able to be here for our children and our future generations. And we got a song called Sugar Crack. I was dealing with the sugar crack, but I call sugar crack is processed white sugar that is, you know, biochemically one molecule away from crack cocaine, but it absolutely operates the same way in the bloodstream. It cuts off the oxygen flow from the blood to the brain. And then, you know, then you're addicted to it because you just keep wanting to get that hit, that high. And then eventually diabetes hits, you know, and now, you know, young kids, 13, 14, type 2 adult diabetes. We were never even thought about that.
Which is crazy because you expect you to get that when you're like 50, right?
That was the thing I called about the hip hop generation, is that we thought something about our swagger was just immortal. We thought, you know, we can drink, we can drug, we can party, and nothing gonna happen to us, especially with no food. But what happens now, look at hip hop now. Look how many, we lost Nate Dogg. He had a stroke twice and the stroke took him out. You know what I'm saying? With our brother Guru from Gangstar. I can go, the fact that I can go on and on is bad. You know? That's right. You know what I'm saying, sis? So here we are now. Your brother has the same story. Now the new book is called Man Heal Thyself, right? So we go from Heal Thyself with Queen, and now me and mom we mothered and son the book, Black Vagina and Child, the book, Man Heal Thyself, the Wellness Warrior's Journey for Self-Mastery. And that's what it's about, sis. It's about us being self-masters of our wellness journey. And so, like I was saying earlier, that, you know, and currently I'm blessed to run a online training, teaching brothers the importance of valuing himself, and being a true alpha man is a true signal of his emotional, social, economic, mental, and spiritual health. You know, not blaming anyone, but taking ownership of himself and doing the daily work to pour into himself. And that's pretty much.
We have a boys program.
No, 18 and up. You know, we're working on
A
something for the
15-year-old. I
younger
I'll let
brothers.
him wait. I got a 15 and
Yeah,
a, you
okay.
mentioned 11-year-old
Well,
that,
in the well, you can get them the book because the book is
yeah,
written
no, I was
for,
already like, oh,
right,
let me
just to
get
start,
that. We do like book
just to start
reading.
their minds and planting the seeds. And then, you know, as we develop and grow along, we'll have something to support our young brothers as they begin to crystallize. But yes, I left out a few other points, but I just wanted to kind of give family an overview. And even you mentioned the military. Yes, I'm a combat veteran, and I was doing the same build in the military. I was the same type of spirit of again, that's a whole nother long thing I could talk about. But again, no matter where I showed up, that's my point. No matter where I showed up, I always would bring the message of holistic healing, holistic health to whatever, you know, organization I was part of or fraternity or sister or brothership or wherever I was at. I always wanted to bring the signal, you know, of wellness and longevity for our people and all people, so we can pretty much, you know, create a new cadence for us being on the planet.
Yeah. But the beautiful thing that you shared in there is that wherever you showed up, you were your full self, right?
That's it.
A lot of times people, when we talk about, you know, code switching or acting a certain way to be in this space or that space, but you knowing and being rooted enough in yourself to be your full self wherever you showed up. And because you were your full self, you were welcomed and you were given greater platform and more experiences. Just that piece that people need to understand and accept, that your full self is enough, and always show up as that. And that's is your right of entry to any place that you want to go, right?
What you said. That's it. That's it. The full, wow, real quick, the full self. So I did a live today earlier before me and you came into formation, and I was telling brothers and sisters the inspiration for the quick live was trust your intuition. Like, you know, your intuition is your Godhead or your deity or your goddess. You know, that is that ancestral supreme being connection in you, you know, leading you to success. And in order to really magnetize and magnify that, you know, you must be the embodiment of yourself, right? So that in order to really be the embodiment of your full self, there may be some habits and some practices and some blockages that you've been, you know, aligning with that have been blocking you from really actualizing who you need to really be, or signal stronger who you need to be. And so when we begin to do the mind, body, spirit audit, like the daily holistic audit, you know, check in with yourself emotionally, mentally. Yeah. What are the habits? What are the people, places, and things that no longer serve you that you still attach to? What could you do through your daily discipline and practice to unplug and to replace those with much more productive rituals and practices, body, mind, and spirit, that can begin to strengthen you, so you, when you show up as your full-bodied self, you know, you're encouraged, you know, you're strengthened, and you're in your highest and wisest signal. So I resonate with you bottom line.
Yeah, thank you. So discipline really struck a chord when you mentioned that. How did you develop? Because you were raised with discipline, right? You were actually raised with some real clear parameters, right?
Right.
Then you chose to go into the military.
I chose
discipline space, right?
Right.
Well, it could have been you got chased into it. It just depends on how we get there. Like,
right.
Something. But how did you develop your own sense of self-discipline and kind of like the code that you follow that help guide you to the discipline, right? Because you can always, people want to work out, they want to eat healthy, right? But you know, people are like, oh my God, you had all your babies at home by yourself. You did it. I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a choice, right? Some things are just kind of native to us, right? Me, with my diet, is very native to me. It doesn't take discipline, but that's because that's just native. But when it's not native, like working out for me, you know, that, how did you create that kind of self?
So let's
to develop that.
Let's talk about, you know, what you highlight, the working out. When we look at the power word, to work out, that's a powerful word. So we got to go into the spells here. You know, I'm working out. That means, you know, there's a goal when you do work out, when you exercise, when you move, right? So when, you know, for me, you know, using the example of exercise or working out, when I look at the principle of what the goal is and what I'm really trying to get from that, I let the goal and the vision that I see for myself be the fuel. I use it. And now just because you use it as your fuel in your goal, you have to create small steps that you can observe to move towards it.
Right.
And you
Something
just, so you say,
yeah.
okay, I have a 24-hour clock. What could I do in the spirit of exercising or working out? You know, so basically I'm working out of a state of inactive to activity. Like I want to work out. Like I have a vision for myself physically, but you know, there's no separation between church and state, body, mind, and spirit, right? So the spiritual work that I do has to reflect the mental process, and the mental process reflect how I nourish myself. So when you find a rhythm, you know, it's holistic health, right? When you find what works for you in a 24-hour clock, what could you do to honor that goal? Right? So you start with just one thing you could do. You say, okay, I have 10 minutes. I'm gonna do 20 jumping jacks. I don't never do no move, right? Well, jumping jacks is a multi-joint movement, right? So you're working out your traps, your shoulders, you know, your arms, you know, your quads, everything is being worked out in the jumping jack. As funny as it may be, if you did 10 minutes of jumping jacks intentionally, right? And you say, I'm just gonna do 10 minutes, man, see how I feel. It's good. So you may say, every day for the next 7 days, I'm gonna do 10 minutes. Right? You just and now you ready?
Jumping jacks, we're gonna give them an award because that's a lot.
No, but look at it. But not 10 minutes straight. But you know, you may set 10 minutes apart and just say, okay,
no, that's a
20.
good first step, definitely.
Right,
yeah.
first step. I'm gonna do 5 steps to 20. Right now, let's arm that goal. 5 steps to 20. Now you dedicate. Right, you dedicate those 5 steps to maybe something you're working towards, a goal in your life. That's not the exercise, but the exercise becomes a ritual towards the goal you're working on. See, so now you're getting expansive with the movement. Now it's not it's not leave the lose weight, burn fat. If you now take it to your vision, now you'll get the burn weight, lose fat. You'll get that, but now you make it greater than that. Because if it's just that, I took yourself out of it. But if it's like, I got this economic goals, or I got the goals for my children, or I got goals for myself, like now you use the sets to map out visualizing the goal. So when you go into the movement, imagine your arms reaching from the bottom to the top, you're touching that vision and you're bringing it back down gracefully. You're touching it up, you pull it up and you're bringing it back down. And then you get yourself hyped. And I did that for 10 minutes and did 5 sets. Tuesday, do it again. Wednesday, Thursday. Now, at the end of the 7 days, now you do an audit. We talked about audit before. You do a physical audit. How'd you feel? Write it down. Do you feel like you can expand that discipline? Now you may go 20 minutes. You feel me? Now you may want to do some sit-ups in that. So it's like you start, you may not be the gym yet. You may just start where you at, just to own the mind-body movement.
Right.
Ritualizing the movement, ritualizing the consciousness in your body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, ritualizing the preparation to have to get up to go exercise, or to remember to do that part, because people forget, oh, I've got to clean up after. The preparation sometimes takes people out. Like for women in their hair, it takes them out of the game, right? So what can you do to start, like you said, ritualizing the small steps?
So the small steps, remember this, we can't get to big steps unless we master the small steps.
Yeah.
It's the small steps that create this big giant visions. Right? So we get so caught up in the big, what gym? I don't got time for the gym, right? So we caught up in it ain't about the gym. The gym is just probably a bigger space that if you're ready or not to prepare to deploy to. So if you're not ready to deploy into the bigger space of commitment, you're at home. You got 24 hours. What could you do just to honor a moment of mind and body movement? So I said that as an example to say, we can start in these small increments and build the muscle and an endurance that is holistic, that you put it as a result you put it as an example for all parts of your life. So if you're goal oriented and you're visionary oriented, you bring that image to the movement. Visualize it in your arm and your legs. See it in your body. Embody the vision. That's how you look at the exercise, right? You're taking out the laziness, you're taking out the distraction, and you put your vision of yourself, your action through and you just do small steps. And then you could do that same principle, sis, with food choices, right? You do the same principle because most of us know a lot of this information, especially now that we're online now, we interact, we're reading things, we're exposed to information. So it's about making the start. And so movement, I'm going to move a little more during the 24-hour clock. The next tool I would say, your body is water, 70% water. You live on a water planet. To really be in tune with your environment, drink more water. The human body needs a gallon of water from AM to PM. So even if you're just drinking like you did, small, like 8 to 16 ounces throughout the day, every hour, discipline, right? Your body will have more hydration. And what does that do? Your organs are functioning more better. Your cells are moving and operating. Everything is working in tandem inside you. So you're not drained and you're much more powerful. So these small steps, movement, drink more water, set your daily intention. Those habits, if you program to a time in your 24-hour clock that works for you, if you feel good about it, multiply that the next day. And the next day, next day, next day for 7 days. And then do a mind, body, spirit audit. What worked? What didn't work? What could you improve on? And now if you start moving like that, just for yourself, the path to self-mastery is unlimited.
That's lovely, because you really broke it down in a way that people can understand how one part touches the other part.
Yeah.
Since
we make it so much complicated, right? And I'm not knocking other teachers' methodologies, because to me, every teacher is necessary. What I'm saying is that we make it so complicated in the steps of teaching that people who just want to start get intimidated by the teaching, even though they're attracted to the teaching, right? So for me, when I, observing my mother over the years, she's a very simplified teacher. Mm. And I would study people that she's admired by. And I would say to all these elders and how they would just kick it to the people, and like Malcolm X would say, make it plain. So my approach to health, wellness, and metaphysics, and just overall well-being is much simple. I want to say, how can I simply just encourage brothers and sisters to make a step? So I'm the hot stepper. I encourage you to make the small steps hot. Make it gracious, make it beautiful, make it gorgeous and lovely every step. Now, eventually you may start doing some full katas and full martial art moves with yourself, full dance routines. But I'm not that. I'm not the routine guy. I'm the one that let's make that step hot. If it's the push-ups, let's just do 10. Well, I can just be able to do 2. Then give me the most powerful tool you can do.
Right.
Set an intention, set a goal, and push yourself up. See that? Push up. I'm pushing me up. If somebody told you wasn't nothing, and your last relationship bruise your soul, then use the push-up as a metaphor to push yourself up. You see, we bring in life into the movement, life into the discipline. So that's what, to your point, says not being long-winded, I am, okay, restore balance. That's what I would say got me into discipline. Small steps, owning the small steps, and creating plans to multiply that into adapt to situations that I need to, and try to, okay, how can I do this even more? And how can I be better with that? And I just enjoyed the outcome. I enjoyed the principle. Like for example, I eat aloe leaf. Aloe is nasty. It doesn't taste good. But I don't eat aloe for the taste. I eat it for the results. I know it's gonna be gracious for my skin and my colon. So I'm so excited about eating the pure aloe because of the results, not the taste. So when you just transcend that small thing, you're not eating some of these herbs for the taste, but the results overall, how it will serve your body and fortify you. It takes on a different excitement and cadence.
And I love what you said, but how you're invigorating, like you said, excitement in each step. Visualize your goal as you're lifting your arms up. Think about how you're positively inputting yourself when you're pushing up. All of that takes it out of being rote and gruesome and difficult and let me go do 10 minutes of jumping. Well, of course you're not gonna feel good after it, right? You're not pulling into the right energy into the space, right? But feeding into yourself what makes it hot for you, like hot step, I like it, all of that works, right? Because people need encouragement. They need encouragement to encourage themselves, which sounds a little weird, but it's just where we are.
No, but it doesn't sound weird, but even weird is good too. So, the good, we want the good weird, right? So there's the good attribute of weird. No, I like that. I want people to feel that, what you said. We need the encouraging needs encouraging. And another way to look at that is the healers need healing. Like, so those of us that are always the one everybody goes to for a word, of encouragement, pulling on your energy, you have to make sure that if you're that person for your friends and family, and the work that you do, that you're setting up a daily routine to pour back into yourself. You have to, because the people coming to you, they're not trained to pour into you like that. They're trained to pull from you. Mm-hmm. It may sound a little bad, but
train them to take and you to give, as opposed to
right. So yeah, so you're a serviceman and a servicewoman. But the thing about being a serviceman and a servicewoman, metaphor for service, right, is you have to train. You are trained to serve. Mm-hmm. So part of the training goes back to what you said earlier about discipline, right? So you have to make sure that you doing certain things for yourself in a 24-hour clock that are going to keep you encouraged and motivated. So when people come to you and pull on you, you don't have the attitude. You're not mad at them because they're doing it. You're gracious because you understand that you're sent here your work to be a one that pours in. And then what happens is you're so disciplined with that gesture of service, but service to yourself, pouring back to yourself the right way, that you attract other healers who understand your love language. And they are the ones that compliment you, not necessarily the ones that pull from you every single day, right? You got to get your tribe. Your tribe will understand, but it's a tribe of people that may need to pull from you as far as you pouring into them, because that's all they know. But the more you can show up to say, okay, the healer has to get his or her healing, and this is how you do it. You start to train brothers and sisters around you to go, oh, I need to do something. I need to do some of the discipline for myself. I know I've been then I'll come to you. Well, I know I've been pulling on you. I apologize. I'm boom, boom. And it just, so the acknowledgement happens because you become the example. You don't got to yell and scream and curse at nobody. You could just be the glorious example of what it looks like. And sometimes it's okay. It may not look good all the time, and that's okay too. I'm not talking about, when I talk about holistic health and wellness, I'm not talking about being perfect. I'm saying is that you give yourself the 24-hour clock to figure out you, right? What works, what doesn't work. 7 days to do an audit, right? 14 days to do it again. 21 days to get master discipline. And then do what? Do it all again. That's it. What did Dr. McClurkin say? We fall down, but we get up, right? We fall down, we get back up. No. What you gonna say, sis? I ain't want to cut you.
And that audit piece, oh, no worries. That audit piece is huge, because I think we're so used to just going, oh, I'm doing this. Well, did you assess what happened? Do you know? Interrogate yourself a little bit. And interrogate sounds hard, but it's just a question or two. Like, where?
No. Okay, I want to give you a little salute. Don't apologize when the channel come through you, because you be having some bars. That's but then I'll be noticing you say it, but then you apologize a little bit. Don't apologize, just let it marinate. Let it come through you and let it, because you got a gift. You've been saying bars this whole time. I've been going in like the SupaNova does, and you've been like, you listen to me, and you go, bang. Exactly. So that's why I give it back to my sister. And when the channel comes through you, let it marinate. Don't walk it back. No, we need words like interrogate. Yeah, it need to be hard. Yeah. No, we don't need soft and fluffy, because we have to earn soft and fluffy, right? A lot of us don't be earning. We just be wanting to get soft and fluffy, but we're not willing to do the work for soft. No, you need some hard. You need some interrogation. You need a little shakedown of yourself, right? So no, I was going to tell you what, and the brothers and sisters hearing this is for you too. Trust the word when it comes through. Let it marinate.
Received. Yes, indeed. I like that. Indeed.
Yeah.
So we have to interrogate. Thank you for that affirmation. A little bit of support right there. Not a little bit, but that's support right there. People are afraid of that. Challenging themselves, assessing. Well, I didn't do it as much as I could, but you did it. Out of 5 days, out of 7 days, you did 3. I'm going to give you a clap for that, but we don't give ourselves the grace and the patience, and just to learn the practice. Because once you do it 3 times this week, next time you might drop down to 1. That's okay. Right. What you do the following week? Okay, you did 5. All right.
Let me add to that. Let me add to that, sis. Let's say you were only able to do 3 things. Now, this is the deep interrogation that you do. Remember, interrogation is for your success. It's not to be bad on yourself, right? So, like you said, if you only hit 3 times of whatever discipline you set up for yourself, then you say, okay, I had 7 days. This is the honest conversation. I only hit 3 times. So you have to ask yourself, what was more important, right? This is what I'm saying, but the audit. What took precedence over this 3? And then you ask yourself, I did 3 times, how did I feel? If you felt wonderful, great, breakthrough, right? Then you ask yourself, okay, so what took up the space that I could not increase that? What was more important than me feeling good and loving myself? This ain't real stuff. Was it a person, place, or thing, right? And the thing could be habits that are blocking you. So that's what I'm saying about the audit. When we take accountability of ourselves, that's what the word accountability, account. Accountability. You have to add it all up.
Added up.
check and balance, right?
Mhm.
It's all money, internal money. Check accountability. What's your account looking like?
Yep.
So you start saying, wait a minute, okay, this took more precedence. This is more important. I didn't. Not to feel bad about yourself, but you interrogate yourself to get to the main principle.
Yeah.
So when you're done with your accountability, you say, okay, do I like, now that I said that, can I do more of what brings joy to my life, makes me feel good, makes me show up? And then you start to, again, don't jump, don't leap, create more steps from that 3. And maybe 3 becomes 4, 4 becomes 5. And ultimately, you want to change the mathematics from being a sometimes powerful being to a 24/7. That way, if you fall right or fall left, you got so much equity build up, so much steps build up. You become like in the ancient Kemet, the step pyramid, right? You become that step. You got so much steps that you like, whoa, look what I built to myself. So if you fall this way, for that way, you won't fall too far from yourself. Ashe.
Boy, you had me raised up and sit up so tight in my spine right there.
Let's go. Come on, sis. Ashe.
Yes, indeed. So you said something about self-love or loving myself, and that's important because I don't know if we have learned to establish what loving myself means or what that looks like, or what does it mean when I don't love myself. Right? We talk about, I was in a mastermind the other week, and they were talking about food and what they were eating and how my mouth likes that, but what about me is going to be loving to myself, right? The outcome of this is not loving because I'm not going to feel good because sugar doesn't feel good. Like for me, my body responds negatively to sugar. I get tired, I don't feel well, I get migraines.
Yeah.
So what about this is more important than loving myself and doing what's going to make me feel best, right? But unless you know that sugar is a trigger and it's going to impact me, we just kind of go through, oh, that's just from eating or whatever it is. It could be diet, exercise, people you're interacting with that aren't healthy. How do you suggest people learn to start assessing what is loving to me? What is supportive to me? How can I be more accepting and loving, and then take actions that keep me in a good space for self-love and for others to engage with me correctly?
Okay, so let's look at I'm gonna go as far as back again doing ancient Kemet, what they call Egypt, as an example. There was a hieroglyph that would be a symbol to represent what we call love in modern time. Okay, the hieroglyph was a plow. It wasn't a heart, it was a plow, indicating that you had to work. It was actually a plow. And that was their glyph for love, a plow. So self-love, you have to be willing to cultivate your own garden, your own space, your own, you got to be able to carve out and be the art, create the architecture to how you want to have, your daily shrine, mosque, and temple to operate, right? So the plow was an example of work. I have to be a worker, right? And then now when I think about how to reflect this, I have to attract another worker. So the person may appear to be aesthetically pleasing to your eye and some of the check all the blocks, but they may not necessarily be workers. They may not, are they worker? Like, can they identify with the principle of taking that and cultivating your garden? So, when you start to investigate that and to hold excitement on working on yourself, this whole conversation, we're talking about multiple ways of loving yourself is work, holistic health, to want a better quality of life, and knowing that you may have to do certain things to be spiritually strong in your daily life. You have to do some nutritional things to really get your body to work optimally, create a proper mind state. These are all aspects of self-love. These are actually the plow being in action, So it's all possible if you can understand that the goal of any relationship with it, like yourself, right, is to be optimum, to work at a high level. And so if you can be that example, it's natural that you would want a relationship outside you to reflect that tenet, And so it's not about coming to any relationships outside of you perfect. It's about really just understanding the principle and the concept, and what are you willing to do every day to sustain that. And if you know that you have certain ways that you work on yourself, you're not going to try to have something outside you, disrespect that.
Right.
There's a certain way that you want your life to flow. And then, if you attract a worker, right, that has that same concept of working on his or herself, then that naturally you don't chase, you attract who you are.
Yep.
And when you attract who you are in another human being, the principle is to inspire each other to continue to work. Because I think sometimes two workers can come together and get lazy.
Right, they be like, did that? You fresh, I'm fresh. All right.
Because they got all this abundance. She got abundance, he got abundance, they got abundance, right? And then now they just forget that they worked to get this moment of an audit, right? To get this moment of like a collective, oh, let me audit you, like you audit me. But you have to continue to create new pathways and new timelines based upon this interface. So like I said, any step, small steps for yourself is a form of love. Okay. Taking that, say, okay, I'm just going to do 10 minutes of movement. Some people, you may not really be ready for strength training, but look at the word strength training. Like, you're training to be stronger. That's powerful. If you get into the principles of it and not this, muscle fat thing that we go through. I mean, it's part of the physiology. I'm not mad at it, but if we transcend just the muscle or fat loss or muscle gain and get into the tenets and how they work integrative into our life, we'll get much more understanding of how we can take small steps to get to the goal. Yes. And then you understand, and then if it becomes a fat issue or a muscle issue, you're not having blockage around that. You actually now will go into the science of yourself and explore the possibility, because now you're looking from an unlimited scope. But it comes back to love. Love is the plow. You have to work on. You have to be a worker. You know what I'm saying? I love working on myself, working towards myself, so I can show up better. Like, that's what I love. And so I just try to show brothers and sisters the value of that type of love, because we only attach love to certain type of manifestations. Right. And but there's greater love. There's so much other love, but it's not taking away from that love. So it's not taking away from the love that you probably come to know. It's saying, let's make love abundant. There's so many other channels.
It's both and, it's not an or.
Right. Yeah. Right. So let's say that love is a little blocked on this level of your life. If you open up to this other aspects of love and you're excited about work on yourself, one day that place that was unblocked for you will unblock, because the love is abundant. It's going to naturally help you experience.
Yeah.
Did I hopefully I answered some of what you were?
Totally did.
Okay.
So in closing, probably have 1 minute. Brittany's probably like, hey, come on, like,
let's go.
What is there a final thought? Is something you wanted to get to that we didn't get to?
I want to share this with brothers and sisters. This is, I want to share with you all real quick the Wellness Warriors Oath. This is something I share with the brothers and for the sisters too, because I consider my sisters also wellness warriors. This is the Wellness Warrior Oath. I'm going to read this to y'all.
Sure.
As a wellness warrior, each day I pledge to honor my health and wellness of my mind, body, and spirit with high vibrational awareness, choices, and interactions, whether inside or outside of myself. I make a deep commitment to my commitments 24/7 and 365 days of the year to defend myself against all toxic enemies inside of me or outside of me. I make a deep commitment to unblock myself from toxic habits and blockages. I protect myself from all enemies, foreign and domestic. As a wellness warrior, I'm committed to my personal development and transfiguration daily. Every day is a new gift and opportunity and new chance for a greater quality of life, for optimum wellness through my self-mastery. No excuse wellness is my creed. Wellness salute, family.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for joining us this fine day. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sis.
I know folks receiving this will be appreciative as well for all that you shared with us.
Thank you, sis. I appreciate you and the team, and Wellness Warriors salute, and everybody have a powerful, powerful expansion doing this amazing 3-day celebration that we are partaking in. Thank you. Wellness salute.